Okay, before we start the session, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the people of the Kulin Nations on whose land Monash University operates, as well as paying our respects to their elders, past and present. As this session is being run as a webinar, if you do have any questions, please submit them through the chat, and we'll get to them, get to the questions and to the panelists at suitable times during the session. Okay, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all join the session today, where we'll be providing you with real-world insight into the numerous and varied ways that leading practitioners use and deliver technology solutions to create value. We're very excited to have Natasha from Capgemini, Yi, a former Monash student who has currently secured a graduate role, and Hayley from University Health Services. Thank you for taking the time to support the Choose Your Own Adventure series. By way of a brief introduction, Natasha is currently she's a graduate recruiter at Capgemini, an IT services and consultancy company. With 7 years of experience working across a variety of education organizations previously, Natasha is currently helping graduates kickstart their professional IT careers. Yi, a former Monash student within the faculty with Commerce and IT, who secured an IT project manager graduate role with Coles. She also worked as a cybersecurity analyst with PwC and has recently secured a role with Transurban. Hayley will be joining us from Monash University Health Services. She's a counsellor, and she'll be providing us with some insight about the services available for students, as well as some tips on how to adjust to university life post-online learning. Okay, so now that we've got that kind of out of the way, let's start with Natasha. If I can ask you some questions. Firstly, what are the standard recruitment cycles in Australia?
Thanks, KJ, and hi everyone. It's really nice to see some familiar faces. I did previously work at Monash in the Faculty of IT, so it's really nice to see you all again. So to answer your question, KJ, with regards to recruitment cycles in Australia, I think, previously there was just one standard recruitment phase in March, and it was a requirement that you would apply in your penultimate year of your degree. But, with the explosion of tech roles and the need to onboard more people into the industry, a lot of companies have altered their recruitment campaigns and their recruitment cycles. So for example, at Capgemini, we used to just run one recruitment campaign a year in March, but now we actually do 4. So we just wrapped up our March campaign, and we've already started recruiting for our mid-year, our July intake. So if you are graduating mid-year and you're interested in applying for Capgemini, applications are now open. You can find them on Grad Connection and Grad Australia. And a lot of companies are doing that, increasing their recruitment campaigns and recruiting throughout the year as well. So, depending on what company you're interested in applying for and when you're graduating, it will change when you apply for your grad role. So my biggest tip would be to do your research and to form a list of companies that you're interested in and look at when their recruitment campaigns are, because it is changing and we're seeing a lot more recruitment across the industry.
Sure. And what is the recruitment process? What would I have to do if I was looking to apply?
Yeah, so again, this is kind of changing because of COVID. So the standard kind of recruitment process would be to submit your application online, and that would include your cover letter and your CV. You probably also have to fill out some screening questions. Then there'll be a phone interview with the recruitment team. And then depending on what company you're going for, and then within that company, what business line or what area you're looking to be onboarded into, you might have to do an assessment center, which would be like a group assessment where you have to do some, live coding or solve a problem. Otherwise, you might have to do a one-on-one interview with a, senior consultant or a manager within one of the business lines. So the recruitment process is multifaceted and there's lots of different stages. So I think just be aware that you don't just submit your application and then come in for an interview. It is kind of like a multi-stage process. So you are, especially if you're looking to go into a technical role, you'll probably have to do some sort of technical assessment.
And if I hadn't had a job previously, would that put me in a bad position, or would I still be able to apply?
Yeah, you can still definitely apply. And I think, I speak to a lot of candidates who say that, I don't have any experience. I've never had a technical job before, but there's lots of different ways to get experience. Working in customer service is really, really fantastic because you're developing a lot of different soft skills and problem solving skills. So that's still really, really great experience. Voluntary work is also fantastic. So there's just because you haven't had an internship or done a placement doesn't mean that you don't have experience. There's lots and lots of different things that we look at when we're recruiting for a technical role.
And you mentioned soft skills as well. So I would assume that's something that you're looking for in a graduate application, that they do possess those strong soft skills.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially for me, because I work at Capgemini, we're a technical consultancy. Soft skills are really, really important because as a consultant, you're working with clients on projects, you're working within a team, you're working across different teams. So having really great communication skills and organization skills are key. So I think a lot of times people place technical skills above soft skills, but I think that they're on par, and you have to be able to demonstrate both in your application. So I don't think that you should prioritize one over the other. Give equal weighting to those.
That's really good to know. And what advice do you have on how to prepare for interviews and the assessment center?
Yeah, I think, one of the most important things that I tell candidates a lot is that, you need to do your research and find out a bit about each company before you come in for an interview, and show that you've read up on what they do, and what the company is about, what the core values are. During the recruitment cycle, we're obviously looking for candidates that are a good fit for our company, but we also want you as an applicant to make sure that we're the right fit for you. There's nothing worse than, applying for a role and getting into a company and then realizing that you're not a cultural fit, your values are not aligned. So I would really, really recommend doing your research into the company. And then with regards to, the interview stage, doing practice interviews is really, really fantastic. I know that Career Connect at Monash specifically do mock interviews and mock assessment centres, and that's a free service. So I would really, really recommend making the most of that, because the more practice you get in, talking about your skills and explaining how you would approach a problem, then the better you'll perform in an interview. I think practice definitely makes perfect in that situation.
Well, in most situations, apparently. But what are some top skills that employers look for of a student when they are applying?
Look, I think it depends on what role you're looking for. So, with Capgemini, we have lots and lots of different business lines. So depending on what kind of role and what business line you're looking to apply to would dictate what kind of skills we would be looking for. Some of the key skills that are probably in demand across the industry are, being able to code in different languages. So, being proficient in Python or Java. Salesforce certifications are also really, really highly in demand right now. Trailhead is a free platform that Salesforce run, where you can, get different skills in the Salesforce ecosystem. It's free and it's fantastic. I have a Trailhead account and I am obsessed with getting badges and completing trail mixes. So I'd highly recommend having a look at that if you're looking to get into the Salesforce ecosystem. But like I mentioned before, soft skills are really, really highly in demand as well. So, making sure that you're an effective communicator in lots of different ways. So verbal, written, being able to solve conflicts, because, we especially for myself, I work in a consultancy. We're working with lots of different teams, lots of different clients. Being able to solve problems and solve conflicts is really, really crucial. And, making sure that you clearly highlight that on your resume. So having a skills section where you can, separate your technical skills and your soft skills, so that as a recruiter, I can very, very easily scroll through and see what you're proficient in and where I think you'll be best aligned in the business, is a really, really great way to kind of stand out.
That's a great point. I also wanted to ask was how important is a workplace culture and flexibility, and how important when considering opportunities would that be? So
Oh my God, so important.
yeah,
So important. You know, like I said before, you know, as recruiters, we're looking for candidates that fit within our program, but we also want you to make sure that we're the right company for you. And, you know, culture fit is really important, and making sure that you're happy and productive at work, because that's when you will thrive as a professional. You know, if flexible work is really important to you, then put that, like, filter that when you're applying for jobs, and make sure that you're, you know, applying for companies that offer flexible work arrangements. Or, you know, if you want to work in a global organization and travel and work with different cultures, then, you know, make sure you filter that when you're applying for jobs. I think, like, working somewhere where you feel like you are valued and you fit in is so, so important. You know, like I said, you do your best work when you feel appreciated and you feel like you fit in. Cannot state that enough. It's so important.
yeah, absolutely. And when applying, what I guess you said to put all your details, put it nice and easy so it's quick for a recruiter to go through and say, okay, I see where they're going. I can get a good picture of this applicant. And that's really what you're trying to get, right? The best picture. So you'll see if they're the best fit.
Yeah, I think, you know, making sure that your resume is clear and concise and outlines all of your experience and your skills easily. You know, I see a lot of resumes that look beautiful and they've been done up on Canva, and, you know, things move, and that's wonderful, but it's actually really hard for me to identify, you know, what your skills are, what your qualifications are, what your experience is. I think, you know, sometimes bringing it back to basics and using a Microsoft Word template and saving it as a PDF is the best way forward. You know, just making, because at the end of the day, your resume is designed to give us a glimpse into who you are and what your experience is and what you're looking for. So making it as clear and as easy to read as possible is key. One of my pet peeves, which I'll just highlight, is your phone number. Like I said, that one of the first stages of the recruitment process is a phone interview. And if your phone number is formatted with 4 digits space 3 digits space 3 digits, it is so much easier for a recruiter who's making hundreds of calls a day to make sure that they've got your phone number correct. It's a little thing, but it makes a big difference in the recruitment process.
Is there any other kind of secrets you can let our students know on what to do with their CV?
Oh, there's so many things. You know, if you have a Trailhead account, put your Trailhead link in there. Put a link to your LinkedIn. You know, easy ways for us to click through and find more about you. You don't have to cram absolutely everything into your resume. It's just to give us a glimpse of who you are and what you're about and what your skills are. So if you do have, you know, a personal blog or your LinkedIn page that you want to link in, please do that. Don't feel like you have to cram absolutely everything into your resume. Just highlight your key skills and your key experiences.
And how many references do you usually look for on a CV?
I think 2 or 3 is good. You don't need to have a reference from every single job you've ever had back to, you know, when you were volunteering in year 9 as part of your school curriculum. You don't need to do that. But, you know, 2 or 3 key references is good. One probably should be like a very, very recent one. So someone who's currently working with you, or one of your tutors or academics from university. But you can definitely have character references if you don't have any, you know, formal work experience. I speak to a lot of references who are, you know, supervisors for someone who's volunteering, or, you know, a family friend who's known the candidate for a really long time. You don't have to have someone who's got, you know, a PhD as your reference. I think someone who can speak confidently about your abilities and someone who knows you well is really the best kind of reference, because they'll be able to give you give the recruiter the best idea of who you are and how you can fit into a role.
And just say, for instance, I do get that role, I get that grad role. How would I go about building, I guess, relationships and connections with people within the organization?
I think, again, it kind of depends on what kind of organization you're in. If you're getting a role within a startup, that'll be very, very different to if you're coming in as a junior consultant in a Big Four. Yeah. I think one of the most important things is to be open to trying new experiences and to meeting new people and to be proactive. If you are in a big team meeting and you hear from someone who you think would be a really great person to connect with, then reach out to them, because what's the worst that they can do? Say no. I think being proactive and being open and asking for support is a really, really good way to build your connections. And I think, just being genuine and being open about what support you need and what you're looking to get out of a relationship is also really key.
So just a final question. Do you recommend students get a mentor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's not just students. I think mentoring is really, really crucial for people in every stage of the professional life cycle. And I often say that mentoring is cyclical. You should be constantly going from mentee to mentor to mentee again to mentor again, because you can always learn something new from someone else. I know when I worked in the Faculty of IT, I ran a variety of different mentoring programs. So, if you are currently looking for a mentor, I'd recommend checking out some of those ones, but also, doing a little bit of a LinkedIn stalking and finding someone that you think you could connect with, and then just sending them a message and say, hey, I'm looking for a mentor. I've come across your profile and your experience and your values really resonate with me. I'd love to catch up for a coffee or for a call and, find out a little bit more about your experience. Most professionals are open to that kind of contact. So, mentoring is wonderful. Do it. Get involved. Do it as much as you can, as often as you can. I love it.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Natasha. Just going on from that, obviously, being a student is a big change if you're coming from school, or everyone's, I guess, coming from online learning last year. So sometimes you may not know who to speak to. Things may get a little bit stressful, and just getting used to people again, right? We haven't really been mingling a whole lot, so being back on campus is a big change. So we do have Hayley here from the University Health Services, and she's going to tell us, what we can do, who we can speak to when times are getting a little bit tough. Obviously, when assignments and things start kind of stacking up, it's not always the best feeling. But Hayley, if you'd love to let the students know a little bit about what your role is and how you're helping the students currently.
Yeah, great. What I might do is I might share some slides that I have. So it's really lovely to meet you, everyone. I'm Hayley. I'm one of the counsellors at the Monash University Counselling Service, and I'm based at Clayton campus, actually in the office after long stretches of working from home. So it's really lovely walking around campus, seeing lots of students around. I'm going to talk a little bit about the counselling service, what we offer, how to book an appointment, what to expect, and a little bit as well about looking after yourself during your studies and during quite a tumultuous couple of years. So let's get into it. So I think if we go back to 2019, I think a lot of us thought, yep, this is our plan. If not a completely flat, straight line, at least we can kind of see how the year was going to go. But the last couple of years, it's looked a bit more like this, right? Roller coaster, a lot of very unpredictable, unusual, extraordinary events happening. Still a lot of uncertainty around, and we're all adjusting to going back and being in large social gatherings and things like that. So if it has and is feeling a bit like this for you at the moment, please know you're not abnormal or alone in that. So I think it's really important, more so than probably ever, that we make sure we are looking after ourselves. We are thinking about our mental health and our well-being. So I've just talked briefly a little bit about how to look after yourself when you've got really stressful things going on in your life. So you might have heard of the term self-care before. So self-care, has a bit of a reputation about being all about, pampering, treating yourself. that might be something you do to feel better, but it's really only a small slither of looking after yourself. So some of the common myths around self-care is that, yeah, it's buy yourself something nice, have a bath, but it's really only a tiny piece of it. Self-care is about looking at your routine. You know, yes, my studies are important, but am I also looking after the part of me that's a relative, a partner, someone who enjoys sport, someone who just likes to read, for example. It's about having a balance between all of these activities in your routine. It's definitely not selfish. Doing things and having a balanced routine actually helps us look after other people in our lives. It gives us the energy to be able to do our things like our studies, work, applying for jobs. So it's not optional or a waste of time. It's actually quite important. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be just daily things about, am I making sure I'm prioritizing eating 3 meals a day, getting good sleep? Am I going to the doctor if I'm unwell, etc.? And self-care definitely doesn't need to be earned. It's what we need to be doing to make sure we have enough fuel in the tank to be able to deal with the stressful things that we have in life. So I've already kind of touched on these already. Self-care, it's about a balance between a range of activities. It's compulsory. It improves our mood. It helps us manage stress. And the reason for that is because if we're stressed about, say, our studies or applying for jobs and that's all we do in a day, it's kind of like we get tunnel vision. It's really hard to manage that stress. Stepping out of that role, doing some other things in your routine helps remind you there's a bigger world out there. I'm more than just a student. I'm more than just a worker. And it means that when we come back to those stressful things, we feel like we can handle them or tackle them better. It helps us look after other people and it benefits our study. So I kind of like to think about self-care personally as like, you know, my body and brain's like a petrol tank. If we drive and drive and drive and don't fill up our petrol tank, eventually we won't be able to move, right? So self-care is about how do I deliberately refuel myself? So a really kind of simple way to figure out, okay, what are self-care activities? How can I break down my routine? Think about going back to basics. So BACE is an acronym that we use to divide self-care activities into different categories. So the first one is body care. So again, it's not about pampering, treating yourself. It's about kind of the everyday mundane things. Like, am I sleeping properly? Am I feeding myself? You know, nutrition is very important for mental health and concentration. Am I getting exercise? Am I brushing my hair and brushing my teeth and things like that? Achievement. So most people find that, you know, studies and applying for work, getting jobs, that does provide a sense of achievement, but we need achievement outside of that. So it can be a range of these things here, but activities that give you a sense of achievement actually kind of make you feel, yeah, I'm a capable person. I have strengths and I have skills. Connection. So I think we all know this with the pandemic when it was harder to connect with people, but thinking about the different types of connection that do really benefit your well-being. So it might be the obvious ones like friends and family, but also I think the heroes of the pandemic have really been pets. And I think one of the highlights of telehealth doing Zoom sessions with clients is sometimes I get to see a cat or a bird or a dog, and that's been really awesome. So sometimes connecting with pets that give us that unconditional love can be really helpful, or it might be getting out into the wider environment, you know, going for a walk, being, yes, I'm connected to this world around us, can be helpful and make you feel less isolated. And finally, enjoyment. So things that you do just because you like them, they're fun. Now, I think that this is the thing that we sacrifice first when stress and demands and our assignments go up, because they don't have deadlines, but they are very important because they do help us step out of that stressful situation and remind ourselves we are a human being. You know, it helps regulate our stress so we can come back and deal with it later. And it gives us incentive. If we've got something enjoyable planned after studies, it gives us incentive to do that work. So I'm just mindful of time too, because I don't want to take up too much of the time today, but there are some other tips here. I think setting a routine is really helpful. When everything's unpredictable, just find a routine that works for you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. What works for you as an individual, and follow that. Just be mindful of boundaries between your study time versus your personal time. Make self-care compulsory. And I think the easiest way to do that is schedule it. So we're all good at scheduling our work and study time, even if we don't stick to it. Maybe it's about, can I just schedule an hour at the end of the day where it's my human being time? Monitor your media consumption. So it's okay to keep up to date with news, but just being aware of all the issues that we've been seeing on the news in the past and lately, you know, that can be quite stressful too. So you might want to put boundaries in place with that as well. And it might be, for example, you know, not right before you go to bed, or it might be not every day. That's okay as well. Stay connected with people, which we've talked about. Remembering too that when you feel overwhelmed, you can press pause, take a break from your studies and have an outlet for your feelings, kind of offload them. And you can do that in a range of ways here, like writing or singing, you know, using a punching bag, exercising, talking to a friend. And remember too, it's completely okay and appropriate to reach out if you need support. So talking to people about how you feel, it's not a sign of weakness. I think it actually takes a lot of courage to do that. So reflect on that as well. It's okay to talk to people for outlet. Which leads into the Monash Uni counselling service where I work for. So as I mentioned, I'm at Clayton campus. So if you're familiar with Clayton campus, if you've ever been inside the campus centre where there's the food and retail, we're next door to the chemist, the pharmacy. So that's the health service where the doctors and nurses are. What we offer is free confidential counselling at Caulfield, Clayton, Peninsula and Parkville campuses, and we do offer counselling appointments for students who are outside of Australia. We're a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 service. The easiest way I think to book in is just to give our reception number a call. If you're a student outside of Australia, you'll need to ask for an appointment with a social worker. It's a little bit confusing. I'm a psychologist, and unfortunately, psychologist registration only covers students within Australia. So if you're outside of Australia, just let reception know, and then they'll be able to book you in with the team who their calendar is exclusively for students outside of Australia. One benefit of the pandemic has been we're much more flexible in how we deliver counselling sessions. So we offer telehealth, so Zoom or phone sessions, and face-to-face. And face-to-face is growing now that restrictions are a bit better. So just call reception, and if you have a preference, they'll be able to work out with you who's available and by what delivery. Appointments are generally 50 minutes long. What we offer is short-term counselling and support. Everyone's different in what they need. Some people just want to have one, see how they go. Some people have several appointments. Some people have a bit more. Not something you need to decide when you book in. You can work with your counsellor to figure out what would be helpful for you. But part of our job is also to help someone who might require more longer term counselling. We can help you find services outside of university. We respond to emergencies as well. So if there's an emergency on campus 9 to 5, you can give us a call. We have counsellors, but if counsellors aren't available, we have the triage nurse and GPs, and we do have spots in the day carved out for walk-ins essentially. Counselling can help with a range of issues. So here's a list here. This is by no means comprehensive, but some of the common things that's talked about in counselling is stress, difficulties, adjusting or life transitions, anxiety, mood issues, drug, alcohol issues, relationships, grief, studies, and a lot more. So no problems too big or too small. Our counsellors, a lot of them have completed their LGBTIQA+ training, and some actually speak languages in addition to English. So if that's important to you, I would encourage you to click this link here and you'll be able to see all the different qualifications and languages that our counsellors have. But an important point too is we also offer counselling for students who it might not be their problem that they are coming with. It might be that they have a friend they're worried about or that they're supporting. There might be someone in their lives and they just want some advice or just to debrief on being a support person. That's completely appropriate too. So all of the information is on here in terms of numbers and how to book an appointment. So click that link and you should be able to find us. Just a little bit of a comment on what to expect from counselling. It's so normal to feel nervous about counselling, and it's very common to feel nervous about counselling because I think it's quite a strange situation sometimes. Meeting a stranger, talking about how you're feeling, that's completely okay. Our job as counsellors is to provide a non-judgmental, supportive space, safe space where you can speak freely. So anything you say, it's fine. It's a confidential conversation. The only exception to that would be, for example, if something you said indicated there was a risk to yourself, like a risk of harm to yourself or someone else, and we need to get someone to step in. Otherwise, everything that's talked about is confidential. In a first appointment, we call this an intake session. So how I run it is basically, for me, it's about information gathering. I just want to get to know the person as well as I can, what brings them here, difficulties they're going through. I want to get to know their life in and outside of uni as well. And then by the end, we come up with a plan. Do we want more appointments? Do we have goals that we want to work on? So if you booked a follow-up session, it'd be about what are our goals? Are there any particular areas of your life you want us to focus in on? And we work together to actually try and improve that situation for you. So we're not there to tell you what to do. It's more about, can we work together to figure out what's the best approach for you? I wanted to plug a program as well that we've just started this year at the counselling service. We have 2 clinical psychologists at our service who have, we're piloting the social anxiety group program. So this is a 7-week program, 1 hour a week, where you get a lot of information and skills and are able to practice with peers, some really good skills for social anxiety. Now this starts next Tuesday, so if this is of interest to you, I'd encourage you to get in touch with Sophia, who's in charge of the group, and she can talk about whether this is a good program for you. And finally as well, just some contact numbers. So this is our counselling number. So if you call this number, they'll just ask which campus, or you can call the campus directly. We have emergency services, Monash 24/7 security, and also 24/7 phone counselling services. So you might have heard of Lifeline, Beyond Blue, or Kids Helpline. These are free 24/7 phone counselling services that you can use regardless if you're domestic or international student. They are Australia-based though, so I think you need to be in Australia. But I put this here just because I want people to know it doesn't matter what time of day, what's going on, whether you have an appointment with us or not, there's always someone who wants to listen and you can talk to. And 1300 Student is a service specifically for Monash students. So it's 24/7 free phone counselling for Monash students. It's not my workplace, we don't run it, but the uni pays an external provider to do this. This is the number here. And for outside of Australia, these are the region-specific numbers. I believe there just might be regions outside of Malaysia and Italy that might have a cost associated with it. But that's all from me today. Thank you so much for having me. I'll stick around for a little bit, but I might leave just before 5 just so I can wrap up my work for the day. But please feel free to message me in the chat if you have any questions, or if we have any time for questions, that's fine too.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Hayley. Really appreciate you pointing out what services are available. I mean, all this, I mean, for students, this is all part of what you're paying for. So please make use of these services at any point if you ever feel like speaking to someone. But thank you, Hayley. Appreciate your time. Yeah, so another, I feel like it's a reunion day with Natasha, former faculty of IT, and yeah, another student of the faculty of IT. So again, thank you for joining us today. Can you just give us a little brief kind of rundown of your Monash history?
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Yi. So I'm a recent graduate from a Bachelor of Commerce and IT degree. So my majors are Business Analytics and Business Information System. At Monash, I was at the beginning of my Monash journey, it was very challenging for me because my English wasn't very good, and I got rejected from all the applications I have, including volunteering job applications. So it was very challenging at the beginning, but I was managed to do a lot of activities and to improve my skills and to prepare for the job industry. So now I have different internships within Australia, and I also had worked at Coles in the IT project management team. So that's part of the IBL program. And after graduate, I joined PwC, and I'm currently now in Transurban. So it has been a journey, and I'm really excited to share what I learned through the years with everyone. So hopefully you can learn something practical today that you can use it from today or tomorrow. Thank you.
So you mentioned initially it was tough when you were applying. I guess your English wasn't obviously your first language, so things were a little bit difficult. How did you go about, making those changes or becoming more confident?
Yeah, so at that time, I was so it's really hurt me when I got rejected from the volunteering, my first volunteering role, because I was thinking, oh, it's a volunteering role. I don't even ask for pay.
Yeah.
And I was actually very confident with my English. I thought, oh, my English is good. And but then when I was doing the interview, I can clearly see that the interviewer, she really wanted to help me or to gain an opportunity, and she even asked, "Oh, is there something that your uni project that's but we really wanted to hire you or have you, but your English is not in a communication level." So that's really hurt me, and then I started to examine my my current situation. Okay, so I know I wanted to get a role in Australia, but my first challenge is my English proficiency. So I look at my my experience and how I can improve my English. So I tried many ways. I tried to you know, look at the remember vocabularies, 50 vocabularies every day. But I noticed that it was very challenging for me to make it consistent. And again, so I studied English in my home country for 9 years, 10 years, and I couldn't have a conversation. So that's the problem. And so I would just look at the ways that I'm more used to and how I can improve my English. So I moved to the on-campus accommodation. I moved to the Monash resident service as the first step, because I know I need to expose in an English environment. So that's in that way I can really force myself to speak English. And I also find that I'm really enjoying talking to people. So and volunteering is a good way. So so I started with the volunteering opportunities on campus that doesn't require an interview or any event, that I would just, if I would just subscribe to a lot of different service, the campus or the MSA. So as long as they require a volunteer, I would just sign up. So at that time, I will have a lot of volunteering. So I would just go and practice my as a way of practice my English, and I wasn't if I don't know any word or any vocabulary or any slangs they were talking about, I would just ask them. I feel very awkward to stop the conversation and ask, hi, what's the blah blah means? But I found it's actually very efficient. It's because I was very awkward. I need to stop the conversation, and so it's actually helped me remembering those phrases or vocabularies and see how people use the language. So that's really helped me improve my English. And so
that would have taken a lot of courage. So you did very well to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and you know, that's how, and that forced you to pick up different words and different vocab. So that's really, really good.
Yeah, but it was easier than memorizing the vocabularies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your current role and the roles that you've picked up, did you know this is what you wanted to do when you started your course? Was this something you were working towards, or?
Yeah, definitely not. So actually, starting off my course, I was only studying commerce. But after 1 year, and I was just thinking, I think even if I'm doing for example, accounting within commerce, but I still need to use computer. I still need to use the software. So I think having an IT degree would really help me and help me prepare for my future, whatever it is. But I think even though I'm in a commerce degree, but it will be easier for me to pick up any software or any new technology. At that time, I firmly believe that the technology is going to be more advanced. So as we grow and develop, there definitely will be new software come. So I wasn't have like clear idea what I want to do, but I think this is the direction that I want to go. So it's only until the end of my degree and I have my volunteering about, and also the internship experience, and also the different units I have taken, and I have a better picture of what is probably a preferred role for me.
So, and you did IBL, is that correct?
Yeah.
And is that it? Did that experience kind of gear you towards knowing what you wanted to do once you graduated?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was at Coles, it was technically my first kind of corporate environment job that's for an extensive period of time. So before that, I wasn't really confident with my English again. So this I was thinking, I'm not sure if I will be used to the Australian corporate culture, but I feel with that experience, I have much more confidence in my ability and how I can immerse myself in the environment. And the second thing is, with the experience, I can see how the project management area, or how people work in that area, and I can see that I actually enjoy doing it. So I think that from that experience, I have a better idea. And again, so with the IBL experience, I can not only do my work in the project management area, but I could also see, talk to my colleagues, talk to different people in different teams, and see and really see what they are doing in a day-to-day basis, and to see if there's something that I might be interested in, or I might be interested in working there.
Sure, and I guess that goes back to what Natasha was saying earlier about networking and finding a mentor and speaking to people within the company, because for the most part, people are there to help you, right? And when they know you're new, they will, for the most part, treat you fairly, I'm sure. But yeah, that's how we learn. We speak and meet new people within the company and put the front foot forward. Yeah. So what were some of the strategies you used to secure your job, your first grad role? Did you get someone to check your CV, or did you go for any classes at Career Connect, or was there anything you did like workshops, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. So I attended probably almost most of the workshops at Career Connect, and I have many people that help me to check my resume. So that's one thing that I have really prepared my resume and my interviews, because with my previous experience of doing internships and with more experience in volunteerings, I have prepared myself with the interview skills, and also how to articulate my experience in the interview. I found one of the things that we miss a lot is it's not we don't have experience as student, but it's how we tell, how we articulate our experience in the interview. So I think it's more thinking about how we can tell in a story format. So how we can have when we face a challenge and how we solve it, and to really have a storyline in the interview, so it will be easier for the recruiter to understand and to be more, I think, more interesting. So I think the second thing is I also really leverage the power of LinkedIn. I created or share my work on LinkedIn, and to build relationship with people, as Natasha said, to reach out to people. So I think more thing is that when we're doing that, a lot of people might thinking, or before I was doing, I was very shy of sharing my work, or I don't know what to post. I think is shifting the mindset of creating content to share your work and document your journey. So for example, the projects you are doing, or the small achievement you have, I think that's something that's really helpful. Yeah, and the third thing is to shift my focus from graduate program to entry level roles. So because as an international student, I found that many graduate programs, they have the visa requirements, but there are a lot of the entry level roles. I feel they are much less competitive, and they are also don't have that much requirement on the visa.
Okay, that's really good to know, because you know, there'd be definitely students in that position as well. So yeah, those little tips were great. Again, if anyone had any questions for either Natasha or Yi, please put them through, and we'll definitely have them answered. Well, that's really the end of my questions. Unless any chats come through, Natasha, if you wanted to perhaps leave us with one or two words of wisdom for budding graduate applicants.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, I totally echo what Yisu has said. You know, I know that a lot of the graduate programs, I mean, at Capgemini, we're the same. We only accept applications from students who have Australian citizenship or permanent residency, but, you know, don't feel limited by graduate programs. And, like, I'm saying that as a graduate recruiter. You know, you can still apply for entry-level jobs, or if, you know, you're doing a postgraduate degree and you've already got years of experience, you can apply for more senior roles as well. Don't feel limited by that. I'm also going to pop a link in the chat to the Big Meet, which is a career fair that's happening next week in the city, in the Melbourne CBD. There's lots of different employers who'll be there. I'll be there. So if you want to come and have a chat to me about all things recruitment, early careers, please come and drop by. But I think, you know, one thing that I want to say is, you know, have courage in your convictions, and be confident in your own abilities. You know, I know that the graduate recruitment space can be a little bit daunting because there's so many different opportunities, and, you know, you hear stories of people who've applied for 500 positions and haven't got anything. But, you know, just know that you have the skills that you need, and there's lots of different ways to develop new skills and to get additional support if you need it. So don't be put off by the process, and please reach out if you need support. I am on LinkedIn most of the time. Like, I'm always online. So if you wanted to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, please shoot me a message there. Connect with other grad recruiters or early career professionals. Ask questions, ask lots and lots of questions, and don't be afraid to, you know, put yourself out there, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to support you. We're here to, you know, help you develop the skills that you need. Sorry, that was a very, very long rambling answer to your question, KJ.
That was great. That's perfect. The more information, I guess, we have as students, I guess, the better. It's almost going to the unknown. We don't know what to expect or how to go about doing it. So yeah, any tips is gold for us. So yeah, I've
just seen a question in the chat about looking for positions besides the university and LinkedIn. So look, like Career Connect and the MSA, you know, volunteering platform are really, really great places to start. But I think also really, really great platforms are Grad Connection and Grad Australia. They are platforms that are specifically for people in the early careers space. So if you're looking for internships or summer vac programs or grad roles, they'll be on Grad Connection and Grad Australia. And those platforms have a really, really great way to, you know, easily identify eligibility requirements for each of the programs. Where else? Ethical Jobs is another one. If you're looking for great volunteering opportunities, Seek have a volunteering section. So if you're looking specifically for voluntary work, but also, you know, reaching out to your local community. Most Rotary clubs will have voluntary opportunities. Different charities will have different voluntary programs running. So there's lots and lots of different ways. I'll quickly do a quick Google search and try and find all those links so I can pop them in the chat for.
And yeah, if there's anything that you'd like to let our students know, or any words of encouragement for the semester?
Yeah, I think again, as Natasha said, reach out to people is really helpful. I think another thing I want to add is to not only for one coffee catch up, but to the most important thing is to maintain a long-term and trusted relationship, and to develop your own personal customer relationship management. Is kind of like a Excel sheet that you have the people you have talked to and what you did talk to last time, and when do you want to talk to next time, so you can have a regular catch up with them, so they can so you can get to know them and maintain a good relationship. So I actually have developed a template that I can share. So if you are interested, I will just pop it up in the chat, so you can have a look and to customize it based on your preference, and always be confident with your ability. If there is a rejection, and you are still very good.
Just see if there was any other questions. Natasha, I think there may have been one. Barbara, if
Sorry, I've just spammed it all.
No, please. That's all good. That's all good. Thank you. Wow. This is great. This is great for all of us.
I can see a question, sorry. Would securing internships during your semester 1 break for first year help with securing grad roles? Look, I think internships are a fantastic way to kind of like try before you buy. It's a really great way to get immersed into a company and into a role and get a real taste for what the work is like. So, you know, if you're looking for an internship at the end of your first year, if you're an undergrad, is a really, really good time to start, because the more time you give it, the more opportunities you'll have available to you. But also, you know, summer vacationer programs are really, really good. I am currently developing a summer vac program for Capgemini. So if you wanted to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm plugging myself on LinkedIn so much here, but if you wanted to, I'll be posting once that is up and running. But other summer vac programs that are run that are fantastic. Woodside run a really, really great one. You do have to go to Perth for it, but it's a really, really great program where you really get immersed into the work that they do there. PwC also have a really great summer vac program. Like there's lots and lots of them. If you go onto Grad Connection or Grad Australia, you'll see all of them listed there, probably towards the end of the year. But it's definitely a really, really great way to get immersed into the work and get a real feel for the culture of a company. So yeah, at the end of your first year, if you're an undergrad, or, you know, even at the end of your first semester, if you're a postgrad, that's a really, really great time to start looking.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Well, thank you, ladies, for your time. Your knowledge has been vital for us, and also the students who weren't here today will be able to watch it as well. So thank you for giving us this for blessing us with this opportunity, I should say. And to the students in here, if you could perhaps give us some feedback, either in the chat or directly to us at fit-student-engagement@monash.edu. Just so we know what other sessions you guys are looking to do, and how more we can help you out. So thank you again for all your time, and if there's any emails, just shoot it directly to me. Okay, thanks guys.